the time, based on what we have done or the government has done so far, with your recommendation?
I've now come to realize the intention of William Ruto was to use Raila to calm the situation, because already the country was in an upheaval.
Yes.
And William Ruto did not know how to handle it. So he reached out to Raila and they talked and they formed the commission. Well, as a result of the National Dialogue Committee, the NADCO report, we made a report which has been gathering dust, except, and we actually recommended 9 pieces of legislation, including some constitutional amendments. But nobody talks about that anymore. The only thing that they were able to do was the IEBC, Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, Amendment Act 2024. Even implementing that has been a problem until some of us came out and said, the ball stops with William Ruto. If we do not have an IEBC in place, already we're in breach of the constitutional requirement that after every 12 years there must be a review of our boundaries. We are into the 13th year and already, therefore, in breach of the constitution. We had made a specific recommendation under NADCO that we could extend this term to 14 to 15 years. But instead, nobody cares. Even setting up the IEBC selection panel has been a problem, a big challenge. Until now, we said by March, if there is no IEBC, no movement on IEBC, some of us are going to lead the streets. And I'm quite sure this time, that particular time, even the Gen Zs will come back again. So and if there's one thing William Ruto is scared of, is a Gen Z revolution.
Would you say it was a result of that threat, that true threat that people go back to the streets that we saw in the past week, the select panel being appointed and now at work? Do you credit that to the threat?
Well, not necessarily the threats, but the reality of the situation. Because we had started hearing words like, we want to extend the presidential term. Because under the recommendation, one-time famous South African judge called Kriegler, who came in after the 2007 national crisis, one of the recommendations was at least 2 years to an election, there must be a working, functioning IEBC. And I think there was an attempt was made to drag this thing on until we get to 2026 and there's no IEBC, then William Ruto gets the excuse to say up to 2029 or something like that. So, but Kenyans are smart. They said there must be an election latest by 2027. So in less than 80 days now, there should be a new IEBC commission because the selection panel has actually met, and we hope they will not be manipulated. Part of the reason William Ruto was afraid of getting the panel on, I think he looked at the composition, the representative of the Law Society, ICP, accountants profession, the religious formation, and 1 or 2 from government side, majority side, and 1 from Azimio, 2 from Azimio. Then he realized, wow, out of the 9, probably he has only 3. So again he panicked and started now to interfere with the nominees from Azimio side. This is part of the confusion.
Did he get his way in doing that?
No, eventually he lost out because Ambassador Kokimuli eventually was sworn in. Right. Professor Adams Olo, however, is a big problem because he was also a nominee from Azimio. William Ruto gave him a job as a presidential advisor. So I had to advise him to choose, because you cannot serve as a state officer and also go into IBC selection panel. I hope he has resigned that appointment by Ruto. But what does that mean to us in Azimio? It means that we have compromised. I hope Adams Olo will rise to occasion. And more importantly, they're supposed to act as a selection panel, give us the best, the best in terms of the chairperson and the deputy chairperson and the commissioners of the IBC.
So are you confident with the formation that we have?
We cannot be 100% comfortable with William Ruto pulling strings and doing this and the other, manipulating.
Right.
We will fight every step of the way to make sure the commissioners who come on board are people Kenyans can have confidence in. I've had people say, for example, if it was retired Justice Maraga, yeah, being the chairperson, Kenyans can live with that. If you're going to bring in, and unfortunately we say, fortunately or unfortunately, one of the NADCO recommendations was a principle of consultation between the two principals. At that point, the principals are William Ruto and Raila Odinga. Now, Raila Odinga is going to the AU, okay? William Ruto remains there. It is obvious that now we should be consulted, not Raila Odinga.
Who is we?
We, People's Loyal Opposition.
Interesting. But this, as you say, was between Raila, the leader of Azimio,
Yes.
and which you're part of, and William Ruto. So why not Azimio? Is Azimio dead?
You see, we have that problem. When Raila Odinga decided he was going to vie for this position, and we all wish him well, as Azimio, we stand with him. It is good for the country, for the continent. He's one of our best for sure, and his leadership skills and what he has gone through. We hope the continent can benefit from his experience. But you know, when he was leaving, he said that with regard to ODM, the party that he leads, he handed over the reins of leadership to Governor Peter Nyang', Governor of Kisumu. He should have done the same for Azimio. But for Azimio, he left it hanging. All right? And you can ask yourself, why? We've never tried to understand why. So the effect was, his running mate, my learned sister, Mother Karua, decided, no, I'm not in this anymore. So her and the NARC Kenya party pulled out, gave notice under the agreement constituting the coalition of Azimio. You're supposed to give 90 days notice. She gave notice of intention to pull out, and she pulled out.
Yes.
And more recently, Democratic Action Party of Kenya of Eugene Wamalwa also gave notice to pull out.
Okay.
So